Welcome to TCM, everyone. I'm here with Delroy Lindo. We're celebrating Martin Luther King Day, and it's a pleasure to have you here. You
Thank
recently
you.
appeared in the film Sinners.
A work I'm very, very proud of. Thank you.
Indeed, you should be. And I really can't think of anyone I'd be more excited to talk about the films that we're about to watch. Later on, we're going to watch Malcolm X, and you are in that film.
Right.
But I think overall, we're looking at films that really get us to think about the nuances of the Black liberation struggle and our reflections on it.
Each of these films address the socio-political and cultural dynamics of the day. And that's what's one of the things that's really interesting about these particular films.
Yes. So we're about to watch I Heard It Through the Grapevine, which was directed by Dick Fontaine and Pat Hartley, a husband and wife team. And it's about the return of James Baldwin to the United States after living abroad for many years. So first, I'd love to ask you about James Baldwin, an extraordinary writer and thinker, and the ways that you think about his work and his impact.
To refer to James Baldwin as genius, as prescient, doesn't adequately describe him as far as I'm concerned. When I think about James Baldwin, I think about there are two events from my life that he was central to. I saw James Baldwin speak. I was working in Norfolk, Virginia, and I was doing a play there in the mid-1980s, and I heard that he would be in town. And I went to Virginia Union University, and I stood in the back of the room, and I don't remember specifically what he said, but what I do remember was that it was searing. It was as if he was speaking to me, and almost everything he said was, I don't know, the word searing just keeps coming to mind. He was cutting through the socio-political, the dynamics of America, and he was like a scalpel sharp in his thinking and the manner in which he expressed his thoughts. Brilliant, brilliant.
Incredible, yeah. Well, after achieving success as a writer, there was a point where he felt quite frustrated about the things that were happening in the United States. He also was afraid that his rage would overtake him. And so he spent many, many years in Europe.
Right, in France.
In France, yes, especially. And he made this film about returning to the United States in the early 1980s, and it's sort of a moment for him to travel the country and look at what has changed and what has not.
Right.
What was striking to you about this moment of return for Baldwin and looking at it through his, as you say, like his scalpel-sharp point of view?
This film, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, is so relevant to contemporary America. That's one of the most striking things that resonated for me in watching the film. The fact that he took the time to visit these various communities and engage, the depth of the engagement, that resonated for me, which spoke to his commitment, his stance socially, politically, culturally, and what was important to him to try to understand about the moment that America was in.
Yes, to understand it and then to help us understand it.
And to therefore help us understand it.
Yes,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
We see him in conversation with an incredible range of artists and activists, with the Nigerian novelist Chinua Achebe, for example,
yes.
the poet Sterling Brown, not Sterling K. Brown,
right.
the actor, but Sterling Brown, who was a figure in the Harlem Renaissance.
Right.
Are there any of the people that he talks to that were striking to you that folks should look out for when they see him in this film?
You know what? His brother is in the film.
Yes.
And I was struck by the ease of their communication. It was like putting on a glove. I've never met his brother, but there was a certain kind of profound simpatico between the two of them. And it was almost as if, on some level, they were mirror images of each other. That struck me because James Baldwin's brother, David Baldwin.
That's right.
Baldwin,
yeah.
is not necessarily somebody. When I think of James Baldwin, I don't necessarily think about his brother. And seeing his brother on film and witnessing them interact, I found really interesting.
I'm so glad you called out those interactions. It's one thing, and there are other things about the film that really strike a chord with me in relation to the film that you are in called Sinners. And I hope we can talk about that after we watch the film. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Delroy.
Thank you.
Let's take a look from 1982. This is the TV premiere of the restoration of I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Back with me to discuss I Heard It Through the Grapevine is Delroy Lindo. You know, that moment at the end of this film,
Right.
when James Baldwin is giving a talk at a lectern, and this voice comes over the intercom saying that he can't say the things that he is saying. And he stands firm in his right and his responsibility to speak. It's an incredible show of bravery on his part.
For me, speaks directly to what we know in 2026, in this era of America's history, as cancel culture. That was a manifestation of them trying to cancel him in real time.
Yes.
And we see in James Baldwin's response, basically saying, I will say what I want to say when I want to say it, and the chips will fall wherever they fall. And for me, that's central, fundamental to various components in this film having to do with people expressing extraordinary courage. I think of Fred Shuttlesworth.
Ah, yes.
When Fred Shuttlesworth talks about getting out of the car and speaking to the people who were standing on the steps, and his wife got out of the car also. When his wife got out of the car, they stabbed her in the hip. That's another level of courage. That's another level of bravery. That's another level of commitment. And we see all of that. We see all of those components converging at various points in this film.
Yes, absolutely. Another striking moment for me is when he's driving around Newark with Amiri Baraka, and they're driving past areas that had been destroyed during what some people call a riot, others
Right.
call it a rebellion in
Right.
1967 there.
Right.
And he's pointing out, this is in the early 80s, that those areas had never been built up again.
And once again, speaking to the contemporary nature of the film, when one visits Newark today in 2026, there are still areas that have not recovered. And so all of these moments in the film that resonate, and I don't know if it's an irony, I don't know, that Amiri Baraka's son is now the mayor
That's right.
of Newark,
Yeah.
Ross Baraka.
Yeah. I see a really important connection between this film and your recent film, Sinners. And in many connections, but one of them is the way that it explodes this idea. They both explode the idea that the great migration of people from the South to the North brought all the freedom and opportunity that people had been dreaming about. In Sinners, we have a couple of characters, Smoke and Stack, both
Right.
played brilliantly by Michael B. Jordan,
Right.
who return to Mississippi, and they tell folks, no, Chicago is not this land of milk
It's not
and
the
honey.
promised land.
Yeah.
It's not the promised land. And that's partially in the film, the reason for Smoke and Stack returning, because they understand, they see through the fallacy of the promise, and it's not what it's presented to be.
Yes. You play a character named Delta Slim, a
Yes.
blues musician.
Yes.
And Sinners really brings through it's not just the centrality of music in Black experience and struggle, but it's something about the way that it carries spirit.
One of the things that I am most proud of, it's almost as if the film transcends itself and becomes a cultural moment. It connects to the zeitgeist, which is why I think so many people have seen the film 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times in some instances. As far as the music is concerned, the manner in which the music is presented, he's telling the story about the power, the spirituality of the music, the fact that it's in the earth and it has grown and it ultimately has a global impact.
Absolutely. Yes. And it makes sense why music would be such an important part of I Heard It Through the Grapevine, because it carries things that can't be spoken.
That's right.
Yeah.
Again, I need to be careful, Jacqueline, because I'm not a historian and I'm not a social scientist, but there is something about the position of the music in this film that speaks to the comfort that music provided to the people. That's part of why they sang,
Yeah.
right? The comfort and the safety that they felt in expressing themselves through song and the power inherent in those expressions.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for discussing this film. And don't go away because coming up next, we will see Delroy Lindo in Spike Lee's Malcolm X.
Next on TCM, Malcolm X, then Uptight, and later, Black moderates and Black militants. Get perspective on TCM tonight.